Nicholas Lee is not, I'm sorry, Nicholas Lee is not supposed to be dead. His death could have been prevented if one person cared, if one official, if President Trump would have acted. He said in February, thousands would die, and he kept changing it. He had a lot of jokes, I noticed on the news, on TV, but guess what? It wasn't a joking matter when I had to bury my husband. Had he taken this virus serious and acted on it just to show any form of decency for human life, my husband could have still been alive. And the same thing with Tom Dart. If they would have just acted on this pandemic when they were already aware that it was coming, that it was here, if they would have just acted, they could have saved human lives. That's why it's so very important that we have to get out and vote. But it's not only about getting out to vote. Make yourself knowledgeable, because once again, I voted for Tom Dart. I voted him in, and guess what? He's responsible for my husband's death. So I didn't do a very good job at researching. But this voting season is detrimental, guys. We have to get out here and we have to vote, because if people can show a blatant disrespect for human lives, we don't know what this world is going to come to. We have to get out here and vote. My husband was 42 years old, and I don't care what the media or the Tom Dart told the media that he died of cardiac arrest. That wasn't true. My husband died of the coronavirus, COVID-19. That is what my husband, my 42-year-old husband that walked into the Cook County Jail, a healthy man, and left out in a body bag. My husband not only walked in that jail, he was not given the opportunity to go before the judicial system. Cook County Jail found him guilty and sentenced him to death, but not death by lethal injection. At least when it's lethal injection, even though I don't believe in the death penalty, but at least it's 15 minutes. They walk, they lay on a gurney, they get injected, they fall asleep, and they die. My husband suffered from March 29th until his demise April 12th, which could have been prevented if Mr. Trump wasn't on TV telling jokes and insulting people, and Tom Dart was not hiding in his office. People's lives could have been saved. 200,000 people, and my heart is one of those 200,000. We have to vote. We cannot let this happen. This agony and pain that I feel, I don't want it to happen to another family. This is the United States of America, the land of the free, the home of the brave. We have to stand together. I need you. My heart is gone, but I have to fight for others, because God still has me here and is still beating. So he's telling me, Cassandra, I'm not through with you yet. Get out here and fight, and I'm going to continue to fight. I need you. Please vote. We have to vote this man out. Thank you so much.
That's right. Woo.
Joe Biden the other day said it was almost a crime, and I thought to myself, almost? Almost a crime? Excuse me, Joe? 200,000 people. Why has Trump done this? Well, that's a legitimate question. What's that about? Well, you know, we all know. He wanted to keep the economy going. He was afraid that it would upset his so-called economic recovery, which wasn't his economic recovery. That's part of it. We know from a Vanity Fair piece that came out this summer that his sinister sociopathic son-in-law, Jared Kushner, had worked up a full-on testing plan for the country. They shot it down. You know why they shot it down? They shot it down because they calculated that the main victims were in blue zones, in blue cities, in Democratic areas. So the hell with that. But I think it's even worse than that. I think if any data ever penetrated Trump's brain and it got back and it showed him that the victims were disproportionately black, Latino, and indigenous, that he liked it. He liked it. Man is a virulent racist. Stephen Miller, his top political advisor, is a virulent racist. If you really want to get down to it, we don't have time. It's a seminar. They're neo-fascists. And they are social Darwinists. And they also don't mind old people dying off. And we know the victims of this pandemic are disproportionately old. They don't mind that. That's the solution to the mystery of how the hell he seems to be willing to even kill off his own base. They got to live long enough to give one last vote for him and give him a second term. It's part of a pattern with Trump. It's part of a pattern. He calls Black Lives Matter activists terrorists. He maintains concentration camps at the border. He puts kids in cages. He tells the Border Patrol that they can shoot children. And in respect of migrants, says, okay, I'll pardon you. But speaking of pardoning, he pardons a whole bunch of people, including some sociopathic war criminals. We know now that Trump's ICE has carried out forced sterilizations of immigrant women. We know about Lafayette Square, the fascist police state paramilitary cleaning out of Lafayette Square so that he could carry a fake Bible over to have a fake Christian event in front of a real church. The unmarked vans hauling up people. They don't even know who's hauling them into the unmarked vans in Portland, in Kenosha.
That's right.
We got some of those Trump's paramilitaries. It's a matter of time until they start showing their face at some of these events. But we know they're out on the west side and the south side of Chicago. We know about that. This is a man who praised Nazis in Charlottesville. This is a man who has defended a teen fascist militia murderer in Kenosha, Wisconsin. The man flew down, Air Force One came up to Kenosha, Wisconsin to praise a cold-blooded murderer, okay? And he praises other right-wing militia and all that. There's a name for this. It starts with an F, and I want people to say it with me. Say the F word. Let's get over this. Fascism.
Fascism!
One more time, fascism. I want you to say this with me.
That's right, fascism.
In the name of humanity, we refuse to accept a fascist America. Please say that.
In the name of humanity, we refuse to accept a fascist America.
And by the way, thank you. And by the way, it's going to be 500,000 by January 20th, 2021, right? When supposedly Joe Biden might get inaugurated, right? Okay? Are we really ready to let this sociopathic, malignant, narcissist, virulent, racist, neo-fascist kill 500,000 people by January 20th, 21? Seriously? No! Hell no. Oh, calm down, there's an election. What are you getting so worked up about? What, you got Trump derangement syndrome? But gee, it sure is good Germans didn't all get Hitler derangement syndrome in the mid-1930s, right? Oh, calm down, there's an election. You hear that? Oh, don't protest, it'll only help Trump. Yeah, I hear that one too. Keep calm. Joe Biden will fix it. Have you looked at Joe Biden lately? He ain't gonna fix it. I'm gonna vote for him just because he's not a fascist, but he's not gonna fix it. He's what Republicans used to be before the Republicans became white nationalist fascists. But pay attention, Trump is attacking the election itself. He's assaulting the election. He's undermining the election. This is unlike any other election cycle in American history. He is responding to this election cycle like you would expect a fascist to respond to an election cycle. He's telling his bikers and his militia and his people with guns to come out and reverse the count if it doesn't go his way. And he's saying, this is incredibly dangerous, what he's saying. This is incredibly dangerous. The only way I can lose is if it's rigged. What is that? That's a call to civil war when he loses because he's such a lousy fucking president that he quite legitimately loses if he can lose. And he is claiming that the mail-in ballots that are required by the pandemic that he fanned are invalid. If you think voting alone is going to fix this whole situation, then you are high. And there ain't nothing wrong with being high. But I don't want to take political advice from you when you're high. It's going to take tens of thousands, and then hundreds of thousands, and then millions of people to force this regime out. It will take the same thing to win anything decent after he's gone, and to prevent a fascist, it's going to take tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions to undo the system that produced this fascist nightmare in the first place. The only way anything decent has ever been accomplished in American history is through mass popular action in the streets.
That's right.
We didn't get the New Deal without the unemployed workers and the industrial workers movement in the 30s. We didn't get the Voting Rights and the Civil Rights Act in the 1960s without the civil rights and the anti-poverty movements in the street. We didn't cut back the pace of the killing in Southeast Asia except through millions of people in the streets of the anti-Vietnam War movement. Here in Chicago, Rahm Emanuel gave up and realized he didn't have a second term because they forced forced him out in the streets after his lies about Laquan McDonald. Why the hell is the wonderful, glorious, beautiful Black Lives Matter demand to defund the police on the agenda in cities across the country right now? Because of the beautiful, wonderful People's George Floyd rebellion. I hope that helicopter, I'm flattered, I hope that helicopter's here for us, I'm not sure it is. I'm going to wrap up, and I want to say some P words to y'all, okay? Okay? I got you to say the F word, now I want you to say the P word. First P word I want to say is precedent. Can you say precedent? Precedent. Now what that means, I'm saying as a historian, is we have the precedent. We know how change happens. We've done it. We've done it many times, and we did it this summer. We did it in May, and we did it in June and July. Then the fascists took the counteroffensive in August and September. We need to make October our month now. We need to take back the offensive. It's our turn. And we know how to do it. We have the precedent. We have the people. That's the other P I wanted you to say. We have the people. Everybody hates, most of the population hates Trump. They really do. And they know he's responsible for the coronavirus. So we got the people on our side, we got the president, and we got the principles. And I want you to say this, principles. Principles. Popular sovereignty. I know, that was not plutocracy. Say not plutocracy. Popular sovereignty. Power to the people. I really am going to wrap up, I swear, Jay. Power to the people. I want to mention some bad P words now. Privatism. We have got to get out of this totally individualistic, neo-fascistic selfishness on exhibit right there with the gentleman walking by, where it's all about me, 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 me. Even people on the left, even liberals, are too private. We've got to get past passivity. Oh, well, it is what it is. That's the way it's going to be. And we got to get past pessimism. Screw the crystal ball. I don't give a damn about the crystal ball. Maybe we have a 3 in 10 or a 2 in 10. I like to say we have a 5 in 10 chance of overthrowing this fascist government and the system that get rise to it. Why take it down to 0 in 10 by giving up in advance? Be existentialist, okay? You lose nothing by believing. You lose nothing by believing. You lose everything by not believing.
Right, Bob. Well said.
Okay. I really do need to finish because I'm talking too long. Join us. Join us in October. October needs to be our month. We have the people, we have the precedents, we have the principles, and we know how to fucking do this, okay? And you need to go back from this and talk to all your friends, all your co-workers, everybody. This shit is going to heat up. October's going to be hot. Donald Trump's going to make our case for us. All we got to do is connect the dots, say power to the people, Trump,
Power to the people.
Pence, out now.
That's right.
Pence out now. And this at home, come meet us at 5:30 today at Federal Plaza. We're going to end up there, but it's really the beginning. We're going to start getting organized right today, 5:30 Federal Plaza. Next, we're happy to have JJ, who is a animal liberation and human liberation activist, who's going to talk about another atrocity committed in the midst of this double pandemic of COVID-19 and fascism. JJ.
All right, JJ.
We are currently in the middle of several major crises right now that are plaguing our population in our country. The first one I want to talk about is the one that everyone's well aware of, the COVID-19 pandemic. We have reached over 200,000 deaths in America, most of which are completely preventable. Some countries around the world have less than 1,000 deaths, and we're at 200,000 lives taken from us. I want you to think for a moment about that number. Think how many lives were lost on 9/11. Now multiply that by almost 100 times. That's how many people we have lost during this pandemic. A pandemic that could have easily been curbed if we would have taken action sooner. I want to give a specific example about how when our government puts profits over people, how the consequences can be detrimental. I'm an animal rights activist. I'm very well aware of all the issues regarding the animal agricultural industry and the way that people are exploited in that industry, as well as the countless lives of animals. One of the ways we are seeing this pandemic play out in a community who are completely desolate are in the workers in slaughterhouses across this country. At this moment, 1 in 5 workers in slaughterhouses has come down with COVID-19. 1 in 5 workers. And that's because Smithfield and Tyson and JBS and all these big meat producers convinced us all that there was a meat shortage. You probably heard about that on the news before, right? That there was a meat shortage? Well, first of all, let me say, I haven't had meat in several years, and I'm still alive, so no one's going to die from not eating meat for some time, okay? In fact, it's one of the leading causes of climate change, deforestation, it destroys our groundwater, it's a horrible thing, so honestly, just leave animals off your plate, and you save countless animal lives, you save our environment, and by the way, I've lost about 60 pounds since going vegan, so lots of reasons to do that, right? But in addition, there was never a meat shortage because these companies that slaughter animals send thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of animals across the globe to sell it to other countries. I believe Smithfield sells about 40% of all the animals they murder to across the seas to other countries. So no meat shortage. What there was a shortage in profits. So our president put profits over people by labeling them an essential business. When you label a business essential, you simultaneously label all of the workers non-essential. Right. Those are non-essential lives, many of which, I believe about 85% of which, are black, brown, indigenous and migrant workers. Those are the lives that our president was willing to sacrifice, and that these corporations were willing to sacrifice to make their profit. This is the America we're dealing with, and enough is enough. Now, the other major crisis we're dealing with is climate change, something our president refuses to accept. He's telling us it's a hoax made up by China to make us less competitive, right? To hurt our economy. Well, I said it on Saturday, I'll say it again today. Fuck the economy if it means 200,000 people and counting have to sacrifice their lives for it.
That's right.
That's unacceptable. Right. We have a climate crisis, and we need to address this at all different angles. We need to all unite as Americans, because he's pulling us out of the Paris Agreement. He's ignoring all of the major regulations that have been put in place by Obama, and he's rolling all of that back and undoing everything that has been done, which, by the way, was not nearly enough to begin with. Right. This is something that not only means the downfall of humanity, but it means the end of life on this planet as we know it. That's the consequences if we don't address climate change and do it today, right now. Right. So we demand that our government, our elected officials, start to pay attention to this. If this is something you are passionate about, by the way, some of the animal rights organizations I'm involved with, we have a whole week of action planned for next week where we will be doing that. We will be taking this message to City Hall, to Tyson, to McDonald's headquarters, Fairlight, all the major corporations here in Chicago, as well as our elected officials, and saying, start paying attention. Stop bailing them out, giving them tax subsidies to destroy our planet, and instead invest their money in food deserts and in produce. Get fruits and vegetables to people who don't have access to them right now. Stop giving that money to corporations. So if that's something you're interested in, come see me. I have leaflets for you all that you can get involved. And again, leave meat and animals off your plate and eat plants, and watch what that'll do to the environment when 350 million people start making that compassionate decision.
That's right.
Trumpets out now! Trumpets out now! Trumpets